Okay, another one. Who has noticed, like, when you're vocal, and I'm sure plenty of people have, then all of a sudden it's kind of like, oh, sit down. And I've noticed these little images when they're on television, like if somebody's very vocal, and then all of a sudden they try to force them to sit down or something along those lines. All like, all of a sudden they only show the pictures of the individual where their face looks like, they're unhappy or something along those lines. I'm like, all this that goes into the psychology of some of this. And you really got to pay attention, because you take a look at it and you think to yourself, okay, are they always like that? Because all of a sudden I see the only time you ever show a picture or produce a picture of these people on television now is when they look like, they're upset or, unhappy. I'm like, I'm sure they smile still. But anyway, I know I do. Even through the mess that's going on right now, I know I do. I not only do I smile, I actually laugh sometimes. It doesn't mean all the time, but you're not gonna tell me these people are just like, I'm grumpy all the time. After what they've caused a stir, and now all of a sudden they're just this grumpy face that we see all the time on television. I'm like, if you only knew, paid attention to the psychology of what goes into the images that you see all the time, and you're not the one that's producing the images. So I tend to think to people for people to pay attention. You're not the one out there taking these videos of these individuals. You're not the one that's producing these videos. So you don't know how these people are. The only thing you know is what you're given. It's just like a computer. The only thing that is going to provide an output is what somebody else put into that computer. I mean, the only way you'll get an output is because somebody put something into that computer. It doesn't mean that it's an output that's necessarily goes along with what you want. It's just an output that somebody produced. They put it in there and what have you. And even computers and computing sometimes can be quite biased. But I'm going to circle it all the way back to my question, which was, how many people have experienced something like that where they actually, they're very vocal, and they talk a lot about many different issues and topics and things, and there are some people who just don't like it, so they'll say, oh, get him out of here, oh, nobody wants to hear him, oh, they're starting trouble, oh, they talk too much, oh, they don't get along with folks, and then they'll even create scenarios, or they'll craft them from thin air, and sometimes you're just stunned. You're like, oh, okay, I didn't know I was like that to somebody or what have you. I don't know anything about that. But that's why I tell people all the time, pay attention. Don't just sit up there and take somebody else's word for it. And it takes maturity. I get it, because I was in that same boat where I had to start letting go of what I used to do, which was like clam. Instead of like, oh, okay, even though I knew I didn't believe it, I start asking more questions. I want people to do that. Ask more questions. Just don't go along with what some clown says about somebody else. Find out